And then Mr. Sawyer, please be seated. Mr. Sawyer, once you've completed going over the paperwork with her, if you'll just go to the back with your client, with Miss Ferguson, and they'll make sure she's sworn in back there. All right, thank you.
Yeah. Are you ready? Yes.
Yes, yes, we're ready.
All right, for the hearing.
Sorry, I mean.
That's okay. Please be seated. All right, everyone, please be seated. So as you can tell, this is now going to be the equipment. So defense, you had the witness on cross, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you're still under oath. Make sure you keep your voice up so everyone can hear. All right, defense, you may proceed.
Thank you. So you mentioned before that you found admissions in Mr. Morrison's, did you give me that one? So before the break, we talked about the timeline. Thank you. And you said that Chris had made some admissions on a body cam.
Yes,
Which body cam did he make admissions on?
Officer Ashley's,
Is that Officer Ashby's?
Ashley, I believe Ashley is the first name.
You put that in your prosecution guide?
Yes,
If I could approach the witness, Your Honor.
Yes.
And specifically, I'm asking about the admission of shooting into the pool.
okay, I did not put that on my prosecution guide.
So you didn't put that in your prosecution guide.
I put one admission.
What's that?
I put one admission into my
You put
prosecution.
one admission in there, but you did not put that about shooting into the pool, correct?
Correct.
You did not include that in the prosecution guide.
Correct.
And so how did you find that admission?
I was refreshing my memory and going through different videos.
So you were looking at it last night?
This morning, yesterday,
morning?
yes.
Okay, so you found it this morning. And specifically, what exactly was the quote?
I can't tell you word for word the quote. The one I have on my prosecution guide or the pool one?
One about the pool.
Okay, I couldn't tell you word for word.
So essentially, an officer Ashby's body cam, you see Mr. Morrison and he's handcuffed and he's being arrested, correct?
Yes,
And part of the arrest process is to explain why somebody is being arrested, right?
part of the arrest process.
Yeah, at some point during the arrest process, people say, why am I being arrested? You're being arrested for this, right?
Okay, yes,
That happens frequently, right?
I believe so.
Okay, and so did Mr. Morrison tell you, Officer Ashby, I'm being arrested for shooting into the pool? Was that his statement?
No,
It was not. Okay. May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yes.
It's gonna be Ashby's. May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yes.
I have her headphones. She's gonna, it's a small clip, Your Honor. So you heard him say that, right? He was explaining to Officer Ashby why he had gotten arrested, correct?
Yes.
All right, I'm gonna need you to keep your voice up so that members of the jury can hear, so that I can hear, and that attorneys can hear.
Yes, sir.
So he was explaining to Officer Ashby why he got arrested, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. And we talked earlier that you only spoke to Izzy one time, correct?
Correct.
And when you spoke to Izzy one time, that was in the lobby of the apartment complex, right?
Correct.
Okay. And as you were refreshing your recollection, did you refresh your recollection regarding any of the other body cams?
I did.
Which other body cams did you watch?
The one that was earlier that day, at 1:33 p.m.
Okay. And in that body cam, you see yourself making a phone call, don't you?
Yes.
Okay. So when you see yourself making a phone call, who are you calling?
The victim.
Izzy,
Correct.
your friend.
I wouldn't categorize him as a friend.
So now you're saying he's not a friend.
A friend is somebody I talk to every day. I don't talk to him every day. He's a classmate.
You have a nickname for him.
Objection, that's been asked and answered, and the court has made its ruling regarding the relevance of that.
But has it already been asked? And was it answered?
No.
Has it been asked before? Was it answered?
No.
Do you have a nickname for him? Yes or no?
Yes.
What is the nickname?
Izzy.
There we go.
And so you placed a phone call to him, right?
Yes.
And when you called him, you were asking him what balcony belonged to Mr. Morrison, right?
Where he was in the pool, and yes, and where the defendant was.
And you didn't know he was the defendant at that point, correct? You didn't know he was the defendant when you called Izzy, right?
Correct.
Okay, you didn't even know who Mr. Morrison was, right?
I did not.
Okay, so you just knew the person that Izzy suspected of this. You're asking where he was in the balcony, right?
Correct.
Okay, and when you did that, he directed you to which balcony he thought it was, right?
Yes.
Okay, and that was a whole conversation that you had with him on June 4th, right?
It was a couple of minutes right prior to our contact.
But it was a phone call that you had. So the only time that you talked to him was not in the lobby of the apartment complex, right?
Yes.
You talked to him before on your cell phone.
Minutes prior, but to make that appointment where we were going to meet.
And when you called him, he recognized your voice immediately, right?
Yes.
Objection, speculation.
We reviewed defendant's exhibit number 1
Yes.
before the break. I'm sorry, you're gonna have to speak up so that we can hear you.
Yes. Yes, we did.
Okay, and it's a fair and accurate depiction of your conversation with Izzy?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd move to admit defendant's exhibit number 1.
Objection, hearsay.
May I approach, Your Honor?
What's your answer to the objection
Your
for
Honor, it's,
hearsay?
prior inconsistent statements. Inconsistent with his testimony previously.
All right, the objection will be sustained. This is not the witness that would come through.
You would agree with me that if somebody asks you, do you know why you're under arrest? And you understand the accusation, that you're not admitting to that accusation, right?
I don't understand the question.
So if you ask somebody, do you understand why you're under arrest? You understand that part of the question?
I do.
Okay. Do you understand why you're under arrest? And somebody explains that to you, you're not confessing to that. You get that, right?
Objection, speculation.
That will be sustained.
As part of the legal process, people have to understand the charges against them.
They don't have to understand them.
They don't?
No.
understanding the charges and saying that you understand why you're being arrested is not a confession. Necessarily.
Objection, speculation.
All right, that'll be sustained.
Not an admission.
If I tell somebody they're under arrest, they don't have to understand the reason why they're under arrest.
Right, but if you arrest somebody, let's say you arrest somebody for possessing drugs, okay? And they said, why are you arresting me? And it's for possessing drugs. And then he tells somebody else, I got arrested for possessing drugs. That's not an admission, is it?
No, it's not.
It's an explanation as to why you got arrested. You understand the difference?
I do.
And so just for clarity, you spoke to Izzy on your cell phone prior to speaking to him in the lobby.
Objection, that's been asked and answered, Your Honor.
Sustained.
So you had a total of 3 conversations with him, correct?
2.
One with a cell phone. The court reporter cannot pick up a nod. One with a cell phone,
Yes,
one in the lobby,
correct.
and then as you're exiting, before you show him the picture, right? You have that one, correct?
I would say that's continued contact.
Okay, but you turned off your body cam, right?
Yes,
Okay, you turned off your body cam after you talked to Izzy in the lobby, right?
yes,
Okay, and then you turned off the body cam, and we have no body cam for you showing Izzy the picture, right?
yeah, that's correct.
And no body cam for him getting out of his balcony and getting into what you thought was a prone position, right?
Correct.
We have no body cam for that.
No.
So that was the 3rd conversation, correct?
I wouldn't classify it as a conversation
Why
Yeah.
did you turn off your body cam?
because the interview, my contact was complete. And during parts of the investigation, our body cams aren't always used.
But your interview wasn't complete because you were still going to have him identify Mr. Morrison, and you were still going to approach the apartment, correct?
I didn't know that I was gonna do those things. It just happened and I had to take action
You didn't turn on your body cam to do it.
as we are walking to make contact. I activated the camera.
After all of that had happened,
Yes,
you didn't have to turn off your body cam after the interview, did you?
I didn't have to, but my contact with the victim was complete.
But so it wasn't though, because you guys continued into the pool area.
To investigate, which didn't have anything to do with the victim.
He was there.
He was inside.
So when did you show him the picture of
As we saw Mr. Morrison, and then made the decision, hey, we need to make immediate contact, went back inside, double confirmation, hey, is this him? Yes, and then we went to the hallway to make our way to the apartment.
so it was a separate contact?
It was like in passing as we were going to make contact.
I have no further questions.
State,
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
is this witness excused or subject for recall?
Subject to recall, Your Honor.
All right, make sure you're available. State, call your next witness.
Officer Carlos Miranda, Your Honor.
If you'll take a seat here, please. Here. Mhm. Can you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you solemnly swear affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, you can lower your hand. Make sure you keep your voice up so that everyone can hear. If you'll state your name for the record, please.
My name is Carlos Miranda.
All right, if you could Raise your voice just a little bit
This
more.
microphone right here or this one? So, because this one's
This one
green.
right there.
This one?
Yes.
Carlos
right.
Miranda?
State,
Mr. Miranda. Are you currently employed?
Yes, sir.
How are you currently employed?
I'm currently employed with the city of San Antonio Police Department,
In what capacity?
detective.
Are you a specific kind of detective?
Yes, sir. I'm a uniform evidence detective.
And how long have you been employed with the San Antonio Police Department?
I've been employed with the department for 14 years, sir.
And how long have you been a uniformed evidence detective?
2 years.
Is there any particular training that you needed to go through in order to become a uniform evidence detective?
Yes, sir. We usually train for process of collecting and processing evidence.
And would you briefly describe to the jury what that training amounts to?
They train you how to use a camera and how to photograph at what distance take photographs, for example. Ensuring that the evidence that you collect is secure. Obviously wearing gloves before you collect the evidence.
How long was the training that you took?
I believe, if I remember correctly, it was 40 hours in class and another 40 hours on the field.
And then were you evaluated subsequent to this training before you became a uniform evidence detective?
Yes, sir. We took an exam prior to promoting to detective.
Were you employed as a uniform evidence detective at SAPD on June 4th, 2022?
Yes, sir, I was.
Do you remember what shift you worked that day?
My normal hours are from 5 in the afternoon until 3 in the morning.
Is there a colloquial name for that?
It is tango shift.
And during tango shift, were you dispatched to any crime scenes?
Yes, sir. I believe that during that, yes, I was.
Do you happen to remember a particular crime scene?
The crime scene I believe you're talking about is I was just dispatched to collect items of evidence.
Do you remember where that crime scene was?
Yes, it was at an apartment complex located on Broadway.
And is that in Bear County, Texas?
Yes, sir.
Can you describe the scene you encountered upon arrival at the location?
When I arrived at the scene, I contacted homicide detectives that were already on scene, and when I spoke to them, they requested for me to collect and process items of evidence inside the apartment.
Who were those detectives?
I don't have my report, but I believe Detective Campos Rodriguez.
Your Honor, for efficiency, I'm not going to object to leading in these circumstances.
if you have anybody who has an objection, just raise your objection and I will rule upon it.
I'm just trying to speed things along.
All right, State, you may continue.
Do you remember the SAPD case number associated with that case?
I believe the number is 22-11-88-34, sir.
Pretty good. And when you arrived at that location, did you seize a particular item of evidence?
Yes, sir. The item was a black BB gun in a rifle style, not a gun, but a rifle style BB gun. And I believe there was a couple of magazines along with some BBs on it, and a plastic bag.
Did you bring that item with you to court today?
I did, sir.
Your Honor, may I approach the court reporter?
Yes.
Thank you. You know what this is,
I believe that's the rifle style BB gun, sir.
and how do you recognize it?
By the tag, by the tag on the wrap, it coincides with the case number that I have on my report.
Did you affix this tag?
Yes, yes, sir.
Your Honor, permission to tender to defense counsel for inspection.
Granted.
Your Honor, at the break, I already inspected.
All right.
Were there any other identifications that you added to this item?
Normally, most weapons have a serial number. And I also put a tag again with the case number attached to the rifle.
Your Honor, since the officer has identified the exhibit, permission to enter into evidence
Any objections?
No objection, Your Honor.
and permission to publish, Your Honor.
All right, and what's the exhibit number?
Your Honor.
All right, and defense, you have no objections to state's exhibit number 12?
No, Your Honor.
And officer, is it secure?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, then that's admitted without objection.
And permission to publish, Your Honor.
Granted.
This is the item that you seized.
That is correct, sir.
Can you identify this package?
Yes, sir. And like the rifle, there's a tag with the case number on it.
Did you affix this label to this package?
Not this label, sir.
Do you know who affixed this label?
Should have been the crime lab evidence technician.
Did you see the crime lab evidence technician affix this label?
I did not, sir.
Okay, thank you. What about this one?
That I should have put that.
You should have, or you did?
I did.
So, according to this label that you affixed to this item,
Yes,
these are items that you seized from the defendant's apartment, correct?
that is correct, sir.
Thank you. Permission to tender to the defense counsel for inspection, Your Honor.
Granted.
I've inspected it, Your Honor. I have no objection to this evidence.
All right, and what is your exhibit number, counsel?
There are multiple exhibit numbers, Your Honor. 15, 13, 14, 15, and 16.
All-
And 17, Your Honor.
All right, defense, do you have any objections to 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17?
No objections, Your Honor.
All right, then 13 through 17 is admitted without objection.
Permission to publish to the jury.
Granted.
Thank you, Your Honor. Detective, when you seize these items, did you inspect them?
To the best of my recollection, yes, sir, yes.
And when I say inspected them, I mean, did you visually inspect them for any unusual identifying markers?
Well, usually what I do is make sure that the firearm is not loaded, I'm sorry, the BB gun is not loaded. And that's what we call make the weapon safe.
Best witness, Your Honor.
Defense?
And Detective, I didn't catch your last name, I'm sorry.
Miranda,
Detective Miranda. Just out of curiosity, is there a difference between a firearm and a BB gun? I know there's a difference, but is there a difference between how you make a firearm safe and how you make a BB gun safe?
in this particular case, no, sir, same procedure, I
procedure?
follow the same procedure, yes, sir.
Because what I've seen when, to make a firearm safe, they usually put a zip
A zip
tie
tie,
through the
yes, sir.
barrel of the firearm and then tie that off.
Yes,
And then obviously it can't be fired while that zip tie is in place.
sir.
Is that what you did with the,
Not in
BB
this
gun?
case, since the barrel is too long,
okay,
I put the zip tie through the magazine
okay,
and the ejection port.
okay. And that's sufficient for this BB gun, correct?
Best of my knowledge.
Speculation.
All right, you can answer if you know.
Yes, sir.
That BB gun is safe.
I would, with the zip tie and the way yes,
Okay, so you made that BB gun. and that-
to be
what you
safe.
did-
Yes, sir.
What you did was sufficient to make it safe.
That is correct.
You don't have to speculate, do you?
No, sir.
Okay, thanks. No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, state any other questions?
At this time, Your Honor.
All right, is this witness excused or subject for recall?
Please excuse, Your Honor.
Excuse, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. State, call your next witness.
The state calls David Pendleton.
All right, if you have the witness come in.
Shotgun magazine, and then with made on 15 short. Nothing to do with that, I guess.
All right, could you raise your right hand for me? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth, but nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
You can have a seat, and if you'll state your name for the record.
My name is David Pendleton. It's
Give you-
Pendleton.
And if you make sure you keep your voice up so everyone can hear.
Yes, Your Honor.
Good afternoon, Mr. Pendleton. Would you please introduce yourself to the jury?
Yes, as I said, my name is David Pendleton. I'm a firearms examiner at the Bexar County Criminal Investigation Laboratory, although most people will just call it the Crime Lab.
And how long have you been employed by the crime lab?
Somewhere around 18 years and 9 months.
And what is your assignment with the crime lab currently?
On a daily basis, I'm going to examine evidence collected at scenes pertaining to firearms, whether it be an actual firearm or whether it be spent cartridge cases or bullets, also unfired ammunition. And I will make examinations and evaluations on that evidence.
And what educational background and training do you have that qualify you as an analyst with the Bexar County Crime Lab?
As far as education, I have a bachelor's degree in criminal justice and a master's degree in justice policy, both from the University of Texas at San Antonio. The majority of my training is within the laboratory itself, although we do attend outside training when possible. We're also required to undergo yearly proficiency testing. Basically what that means is that we're given a test from an outside agency and see if we can get the right answer using our procedures. I'm also a member of the Association of Firearm and Toolmark Examiners, And I'm certified in the area of firearms identification by that organization.
And have you testified as an expert witness before?
Yes, ma'am.
And has that been in Bear County?
Yes, ma'am.
And if you could give an average on about how many times have you done that?
Somewhere around 90 times.
Okay. And can you tell the jury about the crime lab itself? Does it have any certifications or credentials?
Yes, ma'am. The crime lab is a separate entity within the county. We're our own department. We are required under Texas law to hold an accreditation, which we do. This is ANAB is our accreditation body for the ANSI National Accreditation Board. Every analyst within the laboratory also is required by Texas state law to hold a license, which I do. And I think that answers your question.
And so in the Bear County Crime Lab, do you have the capability of receiving evidence and conducting an analysis on it to determine what was fired from the evidence?
In firearms cases, yes, ma'am.
Okay, and or back in January of 2023, did you have the capability to receive an air rifle and conduct an analysis on that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And regarding State's Exhibit number 12. Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Yes.
So I'm showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 12. Do you recognize this?
Right.
And it came packaged in this right here.
Yes, ma'am. I do.
And so as an employee of the Bear County Crime Lab, do you maintain the chain of custody for evidence that you conduct an examination on?
Yes, ma'am. The way it works at our laboratory is an outside agency, the submitting agency. In this case, I believe it's San Antonio Police Department. They will submit evidence to our evidence receiving section and with a request for an analysis to be done. Within the laboratory, then that evidence will follow an internal chain of custody because there may be multiple things needed to be done, such as maybe it's DNA or drug identification of firearms. So it'll follow an internal chain of custody. In this example, I would go to the evidence receiving section. I would take the evidence into my custody, take it to my section, do my evaluation, issue a report, package it, and return it to the evidence receiving collection. And from there, it will be picked up by the outside agency when they're prepared to do so.
And so, Your Honor, may I approach again?
Yes.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as dates 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. Which came packaged. And so when you receive evidence at the Bear County Crime Lab, is it assigned a unique case identifier number within the laboratory itself?
Yes, ma'am. That number is called the CIL number for the Criminal Investigation Laboratory number. And that number is unique and it corresponds to whatever the investigating agency's number is. And it'll only keep that number.
And what was the number that was associated or assigned to your analysis in this case?
22-03299.
And what was the SAPD case number that was associated with the evidence that was provided to the crime lab in this case?
22118834.
And did the crime lab receive the evidence on Yeah, June 13th of 2022.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and did you conduct an analysis on states exhibits 13 through 17 or 12 through 17 inclusive?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And at the time that you conducted this analysis, can you walk the jury through that analysis that you conducted?
In a normal standard firearms case, we're going to do a full functionality test of it. Going to go through a series of checklists, documents, it's obvious, the make, the model, serial number, caliber, things like that, and test fire the weapon. This item of evidence is slightly different than your standard firearm. They're both designed to launch a projectile from the barrel. The difference is that in a firearm, there's actual fire. It's launched by the combustion of gases, which are created by the burning of the gunpowder. In this case, this is an air rifle, and it is actually fired by the use of compressed oxygen, compressed gas. So it's a slightly different mechanism, but the overall just evaluation of how I go through my checklist and evaluate it and then test fire it are basically the same.
Okay. And as a result of your analysis, did you form an opinion as to whether the air rifle states exhibit number 12 is capable of causing serious bodily injury?
Yes, ma'am.
And how did you form that opinion? Or can you tell me about the velocity of states exhibit number 12?
Yes. When it comes to air rifles, in this case, I was asked to conduct a velocity test. Basically, what that's doing is measuring how fast a projectile is launched from the barrel. We do that through the use of a piece of equipment called a chronograph. It's actually really not that complicated, but it's two screens, and both of these screens have a infrared beam that is being projected within them. And we basically fire, and it'll calculate the time that it takes the projectile to go from one screen to the next screen. I will fire it multiple times, in this case 10, that's usually the standard for our SOP. And it will basically create an average of how fast projectiles were going through the chronograph. With that number is the number that I report of how fast the velocity is of this particular firearm, or excuse me, air rifle.
Okay, and so at the time of your analysis, did you make a report of your findings?
Yes, ma'am.
And may I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yes.
I'm tendering what's been marked as state's exhibit number 18 to defend.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
been marked as case exhibit number 18. Can you tell me what that is?
It appears to be a copy of a report that I generated.
Okay, and did you make a copy of state's exhibit number 18 at or around the time of your examination?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you a custodian of records for the Bexar County Crime Lab?
Yes, ma'am.
And is state's exhibit number 18 a true and accurate copy of the report that you created reflecting your finding?
It appears to be. Yes, ma'am.
And did you sign this laboratory result at the time that you created it?
Yes, ma'am.
And is that state's exhibit number 18 kept in the regular course of business at the Bexar County Crime Lab?
Yes, ma'am.
At this time, the state offers state's exhibit number 18 into evidence.
Any objection?
What we. No, Your Honor.
All right, then the exhibit is admitted into evidence.
Now, Mr. Pendleton, at the time of your analysis, did you come or form an opinion as to whether state's exhibit number 12 was capable of causing serious bodily injury?
Yes, ma'am.
And what was that opinion based on?
Two things. One would be the threshold of the average of the velocity. And I base that on literature that states that a certain threshold is needed to cause a bodily injury or death. Also on the owner's manual that I downloaded for this particular air rifle, clearly states that it is capable of causing serious bodily injury or death.
Okay, and just to kind of make the jury aware of the velocities, what is the velocity that's necessary to cause disruption based on the literature?
Based on the literature, approximately 246 to 249 feet per second.
And in the analysis that was conducted in this case, what was the velocity that you reflected in your findings?
I actually had two recorded velocities. The first one was velocity testing with the capsules that were submitted with it because they can be depleted, and that affects the velocity. And that one was 315.4 feet per second. And then I conducted another one with laboratory capsules that are fresh, and it was 337.40 feet per second.
Okay. And so when you're finished, when you're finished with your analysis, what is done with the evidence?
After the case has been both technically and administratively reviewed, I will package the evidence, seal it, and return it to the evidence receiving section. From there, the agency can pick it up whenever they're ready to pick it up.
Thank you. I pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, defense?
Thank you. I guess it's just Mr. Pendleton.
Yes, sir. Mr.
Okay. Mr. Pendleton, I just have some questions for you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So what's the range of the state's exhibit number 12?
I can look in the manual for you. That is not something we test. I can tell you what the manual states it is capable of, however.
But it is something that you can test, correct?
No, sir.
So you can't test a firearms range?
No, sir.
You don't, so you just have to rely on the manual.
Yes, sir.
And sometimes the manual is accurate and sometimes it's not.
That's correct. They're going to report the best, highest values they can find, obviously for marketing reasons. And there's always a number of things that affect both velocity, which of course, in turn, will affect the distance. And that could be anything from the temperature to wind to the oiling of the barrel to ammunition, things of that nature.
Okay, so you said there's a number of things that can affect velocity.
Yes, sir.
And what are they?
As I just said, there's quite a few. It could be just lubrication of the air rifle. the amount of air in the capsule, the brand of ammunition, even the environmental conditions such as the temperature, wind, things like that.
And do you have any kind of background in physics?
No, sir, I do not.
No background whatsoever?
No, sir.
Do you know whether or not a BB would cause a large splash?
Into what, sir?
A pool?
Objection, that's speculation, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Would you agree with me as a scientist that small objects make small splashes and large objects make bigger splashes?
Yes, sir.
And the idea that small objects displace small amounts of water and large objects displace more water.
Yes, but I'm not a physicist, so that also may have to do with the velocity and the amount that it's actually traveling and hitting the water, I would assume. I'm sorry, I'm thinking.
That's okay. I mean, so
Mhm.
it's good. But the faster something goes, the smaller the splash. And the slower that goes, the bigger the splash, correct?
I would think so, yes, sir.
And you also meant, and you didn't control for temperature, you didn't control for humidity, correct?
Correct, sir. We just
And-
fired in the range as it's set in our standard ambient temperatures.
Okay, so you're in your laboratory.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you're inside.
Yes, sir.
You're in air conditioning.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you don't know what the range of that of States Exhibit number 12 is.
No, sir. Just what's stated in the manual.
Okay. Sometimes you can go out to the field and try to recreate a situation to see if that's something that's possible. That's something you could do, correct?
No, sir. That's not in our standard operating procedure, so I don't have the authorization to do things like that.
So you would never do that.
I would say there probably could be, probably some special permission to do so, but it'd have to be a very extenuating circumstance, and it wasn't requested in this case.
Okay. And specifically, States Exhibit number 12 is a deadly weapon if used in a very specific way, correct?
It would have to hit, yes,
It would have to hit your eye.
not necessarily the eye, but if there are other places it could hit, like a vital artery. I have had experience with other cases involving BBs
Okay. And
that happened.
how close a range was that?
Oh, I couldn't say, but it would probably, I'd have to look back on how close they were, but it would probably be fairly close.
Fairly close.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So skin to skin contact or skin to BB or skin to gun contact, right? That could be that if you used it in that specific way, it could be a deadly weapon.
Yes, sir. And to be honest, I'm not quite certain how far away it has to be. I do know that a lot of the literature we cite is within a close enough range to be fired within a laboratory setting. So I don't know exactly what that distance is.
Okay, so you don't know outside of a laboratory setting. You don't know if States Exhibit number 12 is a deadly weapon.
That's fair. That's correct, sir. Yes.
So you only know that it's a deadly weapon inside the laboratory setting.
Based on my analysis, yes.
And it would have to strike the eye at 246 feet per second, correct?
No, as I stated before, there are other areas. Because we're citing a specific amount of literature in this one, but I have had experience where projectiles from air rifles have penetrated other parts of the body, particularly the aortic valve, things like that, and it can cause death, yes.
At close range.
Close within feet,
Feet.
yes, not necessarily, doesn't have to be contact.
Doesn't have to be contact, but it has to be like within, like, how far to,
In those cases, yes, it was. I don't know exactly how far.
but you just, so give me an estimate,
3-5 feet,
3 to 5 feet?
yeah, maybe slightly longer, but I'm trying to, if you're trying to say across the room or things like that, I really could not answer that question.
So you don't know.
No, I do not know.
And, you know, the standard here is beyond a reasonable doubt. You don't know.
I do not know.
And you don't know outside the laboratory if state's exhibit number 12 is a deadly weapon.
I can only base my result on what I can test. Yes.
Now, a BB will lose velocity as it travels, correct?
All projectiles will lose velocity. Yes,
Okay, and the further it travels, the slower it goes.
correct.
And essentially, it's like, I'm gonna use the word a parabola.
Like an arc. Yes.
It's an arc.
It starts here and then it actually try, instead of going in a straight line, which most people assume, it actually does go in an arc. Particularly in a firearm, because when you fire it, there's going to be recoil and it's gonna kick back. So it's gonna take off this way, but as it loses velocity, it starts to drop. And that's where you'll hit target. So this is the muzzle to target distance, and it does travel in an arc like this.
Slowing down.
Yes, and that's for a firearm projectile, and the BB should be the same.
Well, it would be the same, right?
Yes.
Okay. Gravity works on BBs and gravity works on bullets.
Yes, sir.
And you know, you don't know if that state's exhibit number 12, 100 feet away is a deadly weapon. You don't know that.
Correct. I do not know what the velocity would be at 100 feet,
You don't know what the velocity would be even like at 50 feet, correct?
not at 50 feet. No.
At those distances, you just don't know if it's a deadly weapon.
I do not know. No.
No further questions, Your Honor.
State.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, is this witness excused or subject for recall?
Excused by the state, Your Honor.
Yeah, I do have one other question, Your Honor, if I could ask you.
Yes.
Did anybody submit a distance and say this, from this distance to this distance, this is where the defendant was staying, this is where the alleged, did
Not that
anybody
I-
submit any kind of distance like that to you?
No, sir, not that I recall. Generally, we know very little about the specifics of a case. We're just asked to evaluate evidence and that's it.
And that certainly isn't part of your opinion. You didn't say at this distance. This is
Correct.
the- okay, no further questions, Your Honor.
All right, state.
No further questions.
All right, is this witness excused?
Yes, by the state, yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. You may step down. State, call your next witness.
Thank you, Ron. Appreciate
You
it.
have a state rest, Your Honor.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna have you all step outside. We're gonna take a short break. And I will have you all back here at 2:50. Remember my previous instructions. Everyone, please rise for the jurors. Do you mind, I'm sorry, officer, do you mind stepping outside to see if Michael Sawyer is either in one of the side rooms or either in the hallway? All right, thank you.
Yeah, you're excused. Thank you.
Honor, may we be seated?
Yes. Yes,
So, Your Honor, I need to make a motion for directed verdicts.
All right.
Directed verdict. of
you can
not-
make your motion.
I am moving for a directed verdict. So here, state has not presented any evidence that in its use or intended use, this BB gun was a deadly weapon. Do that, as we just heard from the state's expert, he says that he does not know if you can shoot from the balcony into this pool in a way that would make it a deadly weapon. And so his specific answer, when I asked him, is this a deadly weapon? He says, I don't know. So to me, Your Honor, that is sufficient. There's not an iota of evidence that Mr. Morrison intended to cause or intended to use this BB gun to cause or threaten bodily injury to either Jesse or Mikey Izagita. And so for that reason, Your Honor, we're asking that a directed verdict of not guilty be entered in Mr. Morrison's favor.
All right, state.
Our response is that we have elicited testimony that provides a scintilla of evidence regarding each element in the indictment, and we would ask that the court decline the motion.
All right, it's your motion. I'll give you final argument.
Thank you, Your Honor. So there is no evidence, there's not any evidence that when Mr. Morrison, if he was firing off of his balcony, this BB gun, that he intended. And so the expert was very clear. It had to be within 3 to 5 feet. Clearly, this was further away than that. That is uncontroverted. It had to be within 3 to 5 feet, or it had to be right in the eye, and it had to be traveling at 246 feet per second. And the state has not elicited any evidence that that's what Mr. Morrison was doing, and that's how fast the BB gun was, or how fast the BB was traveling. And so for that reason, Judge, we ask that you grant our motion and direct a verdict of not guilty.
All right, the motion will be denied. And do you all have, defense, you have your witnesses here?
Yes, I think they're downstairs.
All right, so if you'll make sure that to have your witnesses brought up, and while you're doing that, I'm going to take up Mr. Sawyer's matter.
Yeah, of course, to get that file.
Yes. Yes. All right, sir, why are you here?
Thumbprints and then from my ankle monitor.
All right, they don't remove the ankle monitor here. Has it already been removed or no?
Not yet. I was told yesterday that for some reason my thumbprints again. I was freaking off.
This might be Jonathan Johnson.
It is. All right, so then what we'll do is, deputy. Can you, oh, it's right there. All right, he needs the judgment and the packet so they can do a thumbprint. And then you say you have your ankle monitor that's still on?
Yes, ma'am. I just need to.
All right, and do you know where to go to have that removed?
Once I'm done doing the thumbprints.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, just have a seat. They're gonna give you the file for you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Gaitan, if you'll come forward. Court is calling 2024 CR 010681, State versus Sandra Gaitan. Can I have parties announced for the record? State, defense?
Michael J. Sawyer, Your Honor, my client was just informed in the last few minutes. She wishes not to plead and set it for a trial.
All right, then your plea deadline date has expired. The court will not consider any plea bargaining agreements with that good cause. Otherwise, you're gonna have to plead open to the court. Do you understand?
And explain with open food what next law.
All right, thank you. Just give me a moment. Yes. Yes. Are you gonna go do that?
What would like me to, Your Honor?
Yes. Thank you. All right, we're gonna get you your jury trial date. How long do you expect the trial to last?
For me, you know,
Okay.
that's what you want to do. I mean,
I just, I explained to him that, since what the field that I'm going for, I don't want it to be on my record.
Oh, no, here's the thing. And we're off the record. The way things work, and when people are charged with a criminal offense, nobody wants a criminal offense on their record. I have yet to meet anybody who says that they want a criminal offense on their record. So the question becomes, your attorney has received all the discovery. I'm assuming your attorney has gone over the discovery with you. The state has made their offer. Either you reach an agreement or you do not. My understanding, you have not reached an agreement, so this will be set for jury trial. The court will not consider any plea bargain agreements with that good cause. So you can expect to go to jury trial, and that's what's going to end up happening. All right,
I think
yes.
my client would like to know, certain days, how many days should have before jury trial.
Ms. Ferguson, give me the earliest jury trial setting for this, please.
It's a criminal trial division. It'll be January 21st.
All right, January 21st.
Then if she wishes to withdraw, I may withdraw, I'll file a full docket.
All right, well, what I can tell you, if you're going to request another attorney, then that needs to be done well before the 21st, because if you were to hire another attorney, that attorney needs to be ready for jury trial on January 21st. Do you understand? All right, Ms. Ferguson, if you'll give her the reset form.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Sawyer. Always good seeing you. I hope you're having fun at your CLE.
I learn something new every time. Your Honor.
Oh, you know, I always tell people, and my mom would always tell me, if you're not currently learning something new every day, then what's the point?
My continual learning curve in my world.
Yes. Good seeing you. Tell your wife I said hi.
Thank you. I say hi to court reporter. I'll say hi.
Yes. Yes. I don't know. Everybody is whispering today. I don't know why they're
I
whispering.
was like, this is, yeah, yeah. And I told some of them while they were up there that you told them, Judge, so.
It's like everybody wants to whisper.
Harris to the stand.
Please have a seat here.
My first time on stand, I feel like I'm on TV.
Hello. Could you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
So help me God.
All right, you can have a seat. Just make sure you keep your voice up so everyone can hear. And if you'll state your name for the record.
My name is Shiloh Harris, Shilo, last name Harris.
All right, defense.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Shiloh. Or should I call you Mr. Harris?
You can call me whatever, Shiloh or Mr. Harris. I like the respect though. I appreciate it.
Sure thing. So tell me a little bit about yourself. What do you do for a living?
So currently I'm a motivational speaker. I wrote a book a few years ago. I was injured in Iraq in 2007, and I don't know, man, I just got involved in helping veterans integrate back into society. I seemed to do pretty well with it, even though I was injured significantly. And I saw that there was a good need for it, especially around Brooke Army Medical Center, because we had so many severely injured service members coming through, and some of them was having a hard time, dealing with their injuries because some of them were really young. I'm a little bit older. I joined the military at 27, so that was a factor I think that helped me overcome my injuries a lot faster. And I just decided to help out where I could. One thing led to another. Wrote a book. I did this, and just doing my part to help make the world a better place.
And so how do you know Chris?
So Chris and I, believe it or not, we went to basic together, but he was a reclass. And to make sure that y'all understand what that means is he was in a different military job before, and then he came over to be a cavalry scout. And so he came over, and he was an E5 at the time, and so we met there. I wouldn't say that we were friends at that particular moment because he was an E5 and I was just a new recruit. So I didn't really know how to read him because he was an E5 and he had this leadership posture and he was real direct. And anyway, and I'm like, I'm a friendly guy, so I'm like, hey, and he's like, I'm an NCO, and I'm like, oh, okay, got it, but we ended up going to Germany together after basic training, which was just kind of ironic because for some reason he did stick out in my head. I mean, he was at the top of my mind. And then when we got to Germany, I felt like we already had a bit of common ground, and it was a good thing because he turned out to be a really good leader and somebody that I respected and became very good friends with.
And so did you all deploy together in Iraq?
Yes, sir. So we went from basic to Germany after being in Germany for a couple of years and a couple of pre-deployments, because eventually we were going to go to Turkey, this, that, and the other. I know that's probably irrelevant, but we ended up going to Iraq close to our 2-year mark while we were in Germany, and we spent a year in Iraq together.
Okay. And you all were in combat in Iraq. Is that a fair?
I apologize. Could you say it again?
Sure. You guys were in combat, and you all saw combat in Iraq.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, we ran several missions. In fact, I mean, over the course of that year, I know I'd be fibbing if I told you a number of how many missions we ran, but I would like to say hundreds of missions. I mean, it's a 24-hour a day, 7 days a week job. And sometimes we were running 2 or 3 missions a day. And yeah, I mean, it was just, we spent a lot of time together, even though we were not in the exact same platoon. We spent 2 years in Germany together, side by side in garrison training and preparing for Iraq. And then, yeah, we ended up in Iraq together. And you want to know the people that you're in battle with.
And so, do you have an opinion as to Chris's ability as a marksman?
A marksman?
Yes.
Yeah, I would say that he's more than a marksman. I mean, there's And I know that he trained for, it wasn't quite a sniper position. It was a system that they had been fielding, and it was for, they picked some of the people that had I guess you could say expert shooting, because there's three different classes in the military. It's like sharpshooter, marksman, and expert. And I was expert. I know Chris was expert, and there was a couple of other guys, and they had tapped me for the position as well to go into this, kind of sniper practice or training thing to carry this special weapon in Iraq. And I didn't know that much about it because I didn't go through the program, so I don't want to give details that I don't know about. But I know it was not the standard M4 or M16 that most people carry. It was a rifle that had a scope, and it was, it was meant to be just a step down from a sniper.
Okay.
But it was more of a practical weapon that they could carry on a regular basis. And so they had tapped me for that because I had shot expert also. And again, these are things that you want to know about people. So I know that he was an expert shot.
Okay, so you had to know how good a shot he was because, and I'm gonna try to speak up, because your life depended on that.
I apologize, sir. You have to say that one more time.
Sure, you had to know how good a shot he was.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Because-
I wanted it because I'm a good shot.
Okay.
You know what I mean? When you're going into combat, I mean, this is my first time in combat. I wanted to know who I was deploying with. I mean, I didn't want to have some guy that I didn't think I could trust beside me. I mean, that's a true story. I mean, you think about it, when you start, even around here in San Antonio, you don't want somebody in your vehicle when you got something pretty special that you got to do, whether it be work or whatever, you want to hire good people. Well, it's the same thing when you go to combat. You want to know that you got good quality people beside you that's going to have your back.
And so you would put your life on the line for Chris's ability to make a shot. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And he was a very good shot.
Very good shot.
He wouldn't miss.
I don't know about never miss, but I'd like to say, we're probably within a 99 percentile. There's circumstances, of course, with shooting, windage. There's a lot of factors that you got to consider. Distance. I mean, I know enough to know that, you can't make every shot, but if the environment's correct, and everything works for you, then yeah, I would put my life in Chris's hands. Let me put it that way.
All right, I have no further questions. I'll pass the word.
All right, State.
Mr. Harris, my name is Megan Galloway, and I'm the prosecutor in this case. And so I just have a few questions for you, but starting off, I want to thank you for your service to our country. It's truly appreciated.
Yes, ma'am.
But from what you've testified to, it sounds like you care for Chris, as you refer to him, a great deal, right?
I'm gonna apologize, Your Honor.
Yes.
Would it be okay if she got closer so I could hear her?
All right, if you all can speak in the mics, please.
Oh, the mics, sorry.
Yes.
My apologies. I'm very deaf.
No problem. Everybody has been whispering. You're the only person who has not
Am I
whispered today.
talking loud enough?
No, you're at the right level of.
Okay.
Thank you
All right.
very much.
Okay, Mr. Harris, can you hear me a bit better now?
Not really.
right.
I'm so sorry.
You can move forward then.
Okay.
That ought to do it.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Harris, can you hear me now?
A little higher.
A little higher,
Right there.
right there. Okay, so my name is Megan Galloway, and I'm the prosecutor in this case. So I have a couple of questions that I'd like to ask you. But first, I wanted to thank you for your service to our country and let you know that that is truly appreciated by myself and by my partner.
Thank you, ma'am. And thank you for your service to Bexar County.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Yes, ma'am.
So from what you've testified to, it sounds like, Chris is your friend and you care for him a great deal. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I know Chris a great deal.
That you care for him as your friend, correct?
That's an understatement, of course. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. I care a great deal for him.
Okay. And so I wanted to kind of talk to you about firearm safety. So when you are in the military, right, you're kind of trained that regarding firearms or any type of projectiles, you're not supposed to point them in areas or at things that you're not prepared to go through. Is that correct?
I want to make sure that I understand the question.
Sure.
Are you saying that in the military, we're taught extreme gun safety? Is that correct?
Yes.
That is correct. Yes, ma'am.
And regarding firearms, you're taught that you're not supposed to point them at a target unless you want to go through that, correct?
You're not supposed to point it at people. You point it at things that you want to shoot at, and that's it, generally, yeah.
And so are you familiar with the facts of this case that we're here for today?
I don't know anything about the case, to be honest.
Okay. Your Honor, can I publish an exhibit to the witness?
Yes.
So Mr. Harris, I'm gonna stand up and I'm gonna display state's exhibit number 12 to you, and then I'm gonna come sit back down and question you, okay?
Okay.
All right.
See, that's right there. In fact, that's what we call flagging. Technically, you just flagged me with that weapon, which happens.
Okay. And so can you describe to the jury what flagging is?
Can I describe what now?
What is flagging?
Flagging is where you cross the barrel across something that is not necessarily an intended target, but it's something that happens when it comes to handling, especially rifles. And, let's just say that it's a long rifle. I mean, you do as much as you can to prevent flagging, but again, it happens. But one thing that we do teach very well in the military is called trigger discipline. You never put your finger on the trigger and you never take your weapon off safety until it's time to fire.
Okay. And so regarding state's exhibit number 12, are you aware that there's an owner's manual that came with state's exhibit number 12?
Am I aware that there's an order of what?
An owner's manual
For weapons?
for what I just displayed to you, state's exhibit number.
I'm sure there are owner's manuals for guns.
Okay. And so would it surprise you that in the owner's manual, there's a warning that states that that air rifle can cause serious bodily injury?
I'm gonna apologize, and that is true, but I've caught my kids actually out there shooting each other with them. So, because we actually have one very similar on my property, and I caught the kids out there shooting each other with them. They're wearing pants, of course, and I mean, they got little whelps and stuff on each other, but yes, ma'am.
Okay, and so would it surprise you that regarding that air gun, you are supposed to treat it as if it's a real firearm and treat it as if it's loaded and ready to fire?
I apologize. You have to say it one more time.
I said, would it surprise you that in the owner's manual for that exhibit, for that air
I'm
rifle?
gonna object, that is improper impeachment. He's summarizing the owner's manual that hasn't been admitted into evidence.
All right, you need to lay the foundation.
Okay, so regarding gun safety, you are supposed to treat any type of rifle as it's loaded, correct?
So regarding gun safety, I'm a civilian. What was that in the middle?
Yep, so regarding gun safety, you are supposed to treat rifles and firearms as if they're loaded, correct?
To keep them unloaded?
Treat them as they are unloaded,
Yes.
as they are, sorry.
No, you're fine. No, you're fine.
Okay. Regarding the firearms, you are supposed to treat, regarding that air rifle, okay, let's back up a little bit. So you said that your kids own a version of that, correct?
It's something that I teach my children is absolutely, you always treat every weapon as if it's loaded.
Okay. And, so it's fair to say you're not supposed to point it, right? You kind of already said that you're not supposed to point it at a target unless you're ready to fire through it, correct? And so you said your kids own a model of that, so are you pretty familiar with it?
I apologize. Could you say the question one more time?
Yeah, so earlier you stated your kids own a model of the air rifle that I showed to you, correct?
Similarly, yes, ma'am. I don't know if it's the exact model, but it's very similar. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Um. And so would it surprise you regarding air rifles, you are not supposed to point them at surfaces of water,
What now?
at any water surfaces?
Again, Jen,
Oh.
the same objection. She's teaching based on something that's not in evidence.
Jack, that objection will be overruled.
So regarding air rifles, would it surprise you to know that you are not supposed to fire them into water?
It would surprise me actually because that's how I taught my kids how to shoot. Is we would go out and shoot turtles in our stock pond or at the river, and so we would be shooting at bodies of water, and it'd be a little target, which is a turtle head, and that was how I taught them to be good shots.
Okay, but that was, you were teaching them at that point, right?
I apologize, ma'am.
So during what you just described, it was a teaching exercise between you and your kids.
Yes, ma'am. But
Okay.
it would still be water.
So, but would it surprise you to know that regarding this rifle, you are not supposed to fire it at water?
Yes, ma'am. It would surprise me.
Okay. We pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, defense?
Is an air rifle a firearm, Shiloh?
In my opinion, I consider it maybe just a dangerous toy, and that's just my opinion.
Thank you. All right, I have no further questions.
All right, is this witness excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you may step down. Thank you. Oh,
Thank you
may-
for your service.
yes, you may step down.
Thank
Thank you so much for
Thank you,
coming
Your
on.
Honor.
Yes, ma'am. My pleasure.
All right, could I have parties approach? Hi, can you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
All right, you can lower your hand, state your name for the record.
Hi, my name is Katie King.
All right, and if you'll keep your voice at that level, that would be great.
Absolutely.
All right, defense?
Good afternoon, Ms. King.
Hello.
So tell me a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? And what do you do for a living?
Okay, I reside in Perry County, Indiana. That's southern Indiana. I can see Kentucky from my house, so it's the bottom of the state. I am the director at the Career and Technology Center for Ivy Tech Community College. Ivy Tech is the nation's largest singly accredited community college. It's a statewide community college system in Indiana. So I run the Technology Center in Tell City.
Wow, okay. And so in southern Indiana, tell me a little bit about where you are in Indiana. What's that like?
Okay, so it's a very rural area. We live in Perry County. It's just outside of the Tell City area. We have 15 acres. We kind of live in the middle of nowhere, and we raise dairy goats and horses and a whole lot of chickens and other waterfowl.
So you said we, who is we?
Mr. Morrison and I live in southern Indiana.
Okay. And so back in June of 2022, were you and Mr. Morrison together?
No, we weren't.
Okay. But how long have you known Chris?
I have known Chris since we were 12 or 13 years old. We were in 4-H together, so we rode horses together, and we were both in junior leaders, and we took trips together. And yeah, we were friends when we were kids and remained Facebook friends, because I think you do that with everyone. Yeah, and reconnected after that.
And so Chris is not from San Antonio.
No, he's from Spencer County, the neighboring county. I grew up in Spencer County, but we both grew up in Spencer County in southern Indiana.
So his whole family's out there?
Yes, yeah, his whole family is up where we are.
And your whole family's out there?
Yes, my dad lives a mile and a half down the road. He has just less than 80 acres, so we're over there a lot too.
But who does Chris know here in San Antonio?
His daughter lives here, and his ex-wife lives here.
And that's it?
I'm sure he has other acquaintances or friends, but yeah.
Sure. And so tell me, are you familiar in these 20 years, does Chris have a character for peacefulness? A reputation for peacefulness?
Yeah, absolutely.
Does he have a character for peacefulness?
Yeah, that is, he's very mild mannered, very calm, thoughtful. Yeah, he's very peaceful.
And now he's also had some troubles.
Yes.
Okay. And I'm just going to ask you, does he, when he goes to a dark place, does he go to a dark place that's angry or a dark place that's sad?
Oh, we have a lot of sad. We work through a lot of things. I think loving a veteran with PTSD is a big responsibility.
I'm gonna object to that testimony we had.
Yes, that was already covered outside the President's Council. That objection will be sustained.
Thank you, Ron.
I'm gonna ask that the jury disregard that.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're to disregard that last answer.
Okay. So I'm just going to ask you, does Chris get angry when he's drinking?
I don't really have a lot of experience with that.
Okay. Have you ever known him to get angry?
I mean,
And I'm
no,
talking like,
no, not angry. I mean, no,
Okay.
absolutely not.
but sometimes he does get very sad.
Yeah.
All right, I have no further questions for this witness. I'll pass it in.
State.
Ms. King, so what is your relationship with Mr. Morrison?
He's officially boyfriend, partner. We live together. We are in a room.
And how long have you guys been living together?
June would have been a year. So June of this year, he's lived with me for a year.
Okay. But you stated you've known him for a lot of time before that, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And so y'all know each other from when you were little back in Indiana.
Yes.
Okay, and so y'all would go shooting in Indiana, is that correct?
No, I don't have any experience shooting with him.
Okay, and so would it surprise you to know that, he stated that he's been shooting since he was small back in Indiana?
I know when we were in 4-H, he was in shooting sports. Like that was a 4-H project.
Okay, and so would it surprise you to know that he said he used to have a shooting range in his backyard in Indiana?
I never visited his home when we were kids.
Okay, so you don't have personal knowledge of that.
No.
So would it surprise you if that's something that he stated?
I don't think that would surprise me. I think a lot of people in southern Indiana have shooting areas. We
Okay.
didn't. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
Oh, that's okay. It happens.
My apologies.
I'm going to bring it up to the witness if I can.
Oh,
That's not allowed. It's not allowed. And those are deputies' rules.
Okay.
you can take it out. I'm so sorry.
Oh, no problem. It happens.
I had it silenced, but alarms don't silence.
No, do not.
Thank you so much.
Okay, and so would it And so did you know, or what is your knowledge of the allegations that we're here for today?
I haven't read anything official.
Okay. And so would it surprise you to know that Mr. Morrison is accused of discharging an air rifle at a pool where a father and son were swimming?
I believe that, yeah, that's what, I mean, I've heard his version of events.
Okay. And so would it surprise you to know that Mr. Morrison stated to the police when he was arrested that the police aren't, he said, y'all ain't the ones that done wrong, it's me.
And Judge, I'm gonna object. It's not a appropriate, can't impeach with another person's statement.
All right, and y'all can remain seated for your objections. The objection will be sustained.
Your Honor, I'd ask the jury to disregard.
Ladies and gentlemen, you just disregard that last question.
I'd ask for a mistrial, Your Honor.
Denied.
Okay, and have you heard of Mr. Morrison's previous relationship with Lainey Cormier?
I don't know that person.
Okay, and have you heard that Lainey Cormier filed for a protective order against Mr. Morrison?
I don't have any information on that.
Okay, and do you know what a protective order is?
I do.
Okay, and so have you heard that Ms. Cormier was seeking a protective order against Mr. Morrison
gonna
for the
object.
allegation of stalking?
I'm gonna object, Your Honor.
What is your, and you can remain seated when you object. It just makes it easier for the court reporter to hear.
I'm gonna object to relevance, Your Honor.
All right, that will be overruled.
Did you know that Ms. Cormier filed for a protective order against Mr. Morrison for the allegation of stalking?
I don't know who that person is, and I don't have any information on their relationship together. I
Okay.
did not know him at that time.
Okay, and so would it surprise you to know that Ms. Cormier was alleging that the defendant was
I'm
threatening?
gonna object. Improper impeachment.
All right, that objection will be overruled.
Would it surprise you to know that Ms. Cormier was reporting that Mr. Morrison was threatening to sue her for defamation of character?
Sounds like there's a lot of context there. I wouldn't know what that is. Based on my knowledge of Mr. Morrison, that would be surprising.
Okay, and so what I've kind of just gone over with you, do you believe that that's peaceful behavior, stalking and harassing someone?
So if she was accusing him of that, right? I don't know her behavior. I don't know that person and whether she's credible. I know him very well, and I believe him to be credible and peaceful.
Objection, non-responsive, Your Honor.
She's answering the question, Your Honor.
All right, objection sustained.
So do
If
you-
just one second.
Sorry, Judge.
If you don't know an answer, just let them know that you don't know an answer. Do you
Okay,
understand?
yep, sure, thank you.
So do you believe that the behavior of stalking and harassment is peaceful behavior?
Doesn't sound like there was fight.
I'm sorry.
I don't,
I guess I'll just ask again. Do you believe that stalking is peaceful behavior?
no, that wouldn't be peaceful behavior.
Okay. Do you believe that harassing someone is peaceful behavior?
Mm. Like, if there were. I don't think that if someone was convicted of harassing someone, it would be peaceful
Objection,
behavior.
non-responsive, Your
I
Honor.
don't know the context around that.
All right, objection will be overruled.
And so regarding Mr. Morrison, would it surprise you to know that Ms. Cormier stated that he stated to her he wanted to kill her?
I'm gonna object to that, Your Honor.
All right, that objection will be sustained.
Ask the jury to disregard.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you disregard that last question.
I'd ask for a mistrial, Your Honor.
Denied.
Have you heard that Mr. Morrison sent many text messages to Ms. Cormier saying that he was
Same
going to
objection, Your
pull the
Honor.
trigger to his firearm?
Same objection, Your Honor.
All right, That objection will be overruled.
I don't know this person. I don't have any information on those
Objection,
text
non-responsive,
messages.
Your Honor.
All right,
She's responding to the question, Your Honor.
that objection will be overruled.
And so have you heard that Mr. Morrison told Ms. Cormier that he wanted to kill her?
I have not heard that.
Okay, do you believe that stating you want to kill someone is peaceful behavior?
No, that would not be peaceful behavior.
We passed the witness, Your Honor.
Defense?
You've known Chris for 20 years?
Mm, Maybe a little older. I think I'm a little, if you do the math on 12 plus 20, I'm probably a few more years than that.
Okay. You've known him for several decades.
Yes,
You know him well.
yes.
In your opinion, he's a peaceful person.
I believe he is a very peaceful person.
Nothing that the state has questioned you about has changed that opinion.
Absolutely not.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, any further questions?
No, Your Honor,
All right, is this witness excused or subject for recall?
Excused by the defense, Your Honor.
and by the state, Your Honor.
All right, you may step down.
Thank you.
All right, defense, call your next witness.
Defense has no further witnesses, Your Honor. The defense rise.
All right, state, any further witnesses?
No, Your Honor, we close.
Defense, do you close?
Yes, we close.
All right, you both may be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, what I'm going to do is we're going to take our recess for today. We will be back tomorrow, I say tomorrow, Monday at 9 a.m. And at 9 a.m., what will happen if both parties will be able to give you a closing argument if they choose to do so. Remember my previous instructions. You're not allowed to think about this case outside this courtroom. You're not allowed to start deliberating internally with yourself or with anyone else. You're not allowed to Google or do any research on this case or Google the names of any witnesses or watch anything about this case. Everything that you are to learn about this case is to come from inside the courtroom. Does everyone understand? All right, we can go off the record. So I have a docket on Monday, but I'm going to start with this case first before my docket. So in order to be assured, I'd say like 90% that there is a place for you at the parking garage, you probably need to be here by 8:15 because other people will be arriving at 8:30. I'm not sure. I don't think our jurors scheduled for next week. All right, so Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. But for you, Monday, the same number of jurors that you first started out your day with are going to be the same numbers that are going to be in that garage. And as you know, they all are going to hurry up to be here at 8 a.m. So with that being said, have a great weekend. All right, everyone, please rise for the jurors.